The Deity Theos. Who's this for and should you get one? That's what we're going to cover today. Everything that's in this package and the value that I feel like I get out of it. First off, let's talk about what kind of comes in this package and the price point. So this is $10.90, so $1,090. And in this package, you get pretty much everything you need to get started, including the batteries. So you get this nice little set of antennas for all the different ranges. So you got the red ones, the yellow ones, and the blue ones. And this is for the TX and the RX. So you got everything that you need here. You also get 2 of the W-Lob Pros. I have them in this little bag and these little twisties on here. That's just something I did. These mics work pretty good. In terms of compared to like a MKE2, they're pretty much on par with that. I think that they sound great. I'm sure that you can find videos out there where people are picking apart like the auto channels and, finding like small aberrations with these mics. I will say that the cable on here feels like a little cheap. The rest of it feels fine. The locking mechanism on here is good. And the mic sounds great, and that's what's important, right? I'm not sure what this cable is made of. It just feels like it's not easily maneuverable, and it kind of twists up when you twist this and not just the locking pin. So something just feels like it's a little cheap there, but the rest of it is just fine. And like I said, it does sound great. You also get this little clip for the receiver that you can stick on there to lock it on to your hot shoe, cold shoe with a roller locker on here. You get all these Deity batteries to power everything. You also get these really cool XLR to 3.5 locking cables, which is great on my mix pre in my bag. I can stick this in, just kind of run these up with this 90-degree angle on here. I do love the way these are set up. I usually run like a jumper and then connect it, but like with this, I don't need those jumpers anymore because this is kind of like works like a jumper. If you know, like the XLR cables that go straight in, those can be kind of tough on the side of the bag, in your sound bag. When you're running those in there, they just kind of poke out and protrude. So having the 90 is super nice. You get 2 of those. You also get an assortment of other cables in here too, for USB to USB-C. You get the USB-C adapter here to just, plug everything in for bits and everything. And then you also get another 3.5 locking to 3.5. So great little kit. Then you get the TX and the RX. You get 2 of the transmitters and 1 of the receivers. This is super easy and intuitive, and this is why I love this, to connect all of this. They did a really good job with this design. You have a 2-channel receiver here, so you can run your one transmitter into A and your other transmitter into B. I did label them, so that way I know which ones are which, so I don't get those mixed up. They very quickly pair with the app as well, so everything connects very, very easy and intuitively. So this is a great system. To power it on, you just hold this little button here for a couple seconds and everything powers on. It'll find the best channel for you. These transmitters can also be synced wirelessly from the Deity TC1 timecode generator. So that's also pretty cool that you can, pair with all their systems nice and easy. You don't have to jam anything into it if you have their TC1 timecode generator, which I don't have. I use a Tentacle Sync. Still very easy to do. The thing that I would say is a drawback to this is the 32-bit internal recording on these, because they're UHF and another company owns the patent on that, I think until 2030, you will not be able to record 32-bit float internally on these transmitters while you're sending out a signal. Now, if you just want to use the transmitter itself and just use this as a recorder, you can record the 32-bit float on this. It's just fine. If you want to use this as a redundancy and record 32-bit float while you're transmitting to your mixer or your recorder, you will not be able to do that, unfortunately. So that is probably the biggest drawback with this that I can find. Overall, I think this is a great package for the price for the consumer pro range to the pro range. The pro stuff, you're going to get into the tens, 20s of thousands of dollars to get into those systems. And it's just, it's not a good entry point for most people. It's very tough and it takes a long time to build out those bags for most operators. So this, I feel like, does the job for most everything that I do. So we do a lot of tier 3 commercial work at the local level. And for that, this does fantastic. The TV commercials that we do There's no problem with sound, especially with the post mix and everything. This does plenty. So I feel like this is probably a good solution for most shooters out there, and you're not going to have any problems with it. It's really reliable. It's got really good range. And I think this is probably better than the G4 system. I used that for a long time in terms of how it connects, how intuitive it is, and then also the UHF system. So there's a lot of bonuses of this. There's only a couple drawbacks that I found so far, and I'm very, very, very happy with these. I think these are great, and they're, you know, a step above, you know, using the DJI Mic 2 systems and things like that, because it is UHF, a little bit more reliable, and then, you know, you're also going into your recorder or your mixer. So this is just a good system for that entry-level sound guy, I think. I'm not, you know, a pro sound guy by any means. I have been hired for sound, and I do run sound quite a bit, so this is something that I use on when I'm doing it, and I think this is a good solution for me, and I think you'll probably find a lot of value out of having a couple of these. You know, if you get a couple of these kits, you know, you got 4 lavs you can run out there, 4 wireless systems, and I think that's plenty for most of what people are doing. If you need more than that, you're probably going to have to hire a pro sound guy for, you know, $1,000 a day, whatever it is, with their kit, and just, you know, that it is what it is. Now, if you're looking to become that pro sound guy, you can still use this stuff. I think this is great. It's going to work just fine, but there's probably going to be an expectation to have that next level of redundancy and quality that these may not offer, such as with Electrosonics or the Wizicoms. But once again, those are tens of thousands of dollars, so it's going to be really tough to get into those. It also comes in this nice little box, so you can just kind of store everything together and keep it all in one place. When I'm done with this, you know, I have a Pelican that's got all of my sound equipment, and I just kind of stick this, it's a pretty big Pelican, stick this in there. You know, I got my boom, I got all my stuff in there, and then I also carry my bag separately. And then before I go shoot, I just build out my bag right here, and everything's ready to go. And I love that this all just fits together. It's nice and compact, and I feel like they did a really good job when building this and designing this system. So that's all on the Deity Theos. If I missed anything, and I'm sure I did, be sure to leave a comment, and I'll try to answer as soon as I can. I hope this was helpful for you, and I'll see you in the next one. So I did want to add one more thing to this video that I found out after using the Deity Theos for a while. You cannot actually use this transmitter with 48-volt phantom power. So it currently only does 5 volts and 3 volts, which is really disappointing to hear, because I wanted to be able to use this whole system and have my 4th channel wirelessly transmit my boom microphone. So I was really disappointed to hear that. You can currently get that with the Deity TX, which is the pro version of this overseas in Europe and other places like that. But in the US, you currently cannot do it. They also in Europe and overseas have the DX TX, which is the XLR plug that goes into the boom, so you can wirelessly transmit to the Deity Theos system, which is really cool. So if you're in Europe, super jealous, glad you got all that stuff. The other thing you can do in Europe is, once again, I think I said this before, you can record and transmit in 32-bit float internally on each of their devices. You currently can't do that in the US. So I hope Deity Theos sees this video, or, you know, comes up with a solution soon for this, because it is important to be able to wirelessly transmit the boom, and I'm sure they know that for a lot of people, a lot of operators out there. Currently not a huge deal to me, because I have the SKP 500 that I can still use with my G4 system. But I would like to migrate out of the 2.4 gigahertz system and all into the UHS system for my, you know, prosumer stuff that I'm doing. And then eventually I'll upgrade the whole system.